What is going on, people of YouTube? My name is Kurtyoy and welcome back to a brand new video of the FPL preview, where we look at the upcoming game week. We look at goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders and strikers you should all bring in. There's a cheeky look at a website called Fantasy Totem. I'm sure you've all heard of it before. Without further ado, kind of short on time I've just realised, so straight on with the goalkeepers, no waffling. So the four goalkeepers I have for you today, we've got Butland, Fabianski, Pickford and Begovic. Butland for Stoke. I think Stoke are slightly improving, and a game at home to Brighton I think could be a clean sheet, potentially a ball draw, maybe they'll nick a win, but I definitely see Stoke getting a clean sheet, so I think Butland's a good choice to have at 5 million. You've also got Fabianski at 4.6. Interesting that I've mentioned a lot of Swansea and Burnley players that you'll see in the upcoming episodes. And I do think Swansea will, potentially get a clean sheet. If not, I think Fabianski's brilliant because he'll get those save points. I think he makes the most saves. He has one of the most this season, which is a phenomenal record. I think last season's only beaten by Heaton, if I'm right. So Fabianski's a wonderful player. Definitely should be considered bringing him in. You also got Pickford at 4.9 for Everton at home to Crystal Palace. I can see that being, again, maybe an Everton 2-0 win. I can see Everton getting a clean sheet. If not, again, Pickford, great shot stopper. And Begovic, another shot stopper. Another good one that we've had in the last couple of years. Away against Huddersfield, so I could see them potentially nicking it. Huddersfield aren't in the best reign of form, but I think your best bet's probably with Butland. Next up, we have the Fancy Tote Dream Team, where we pick 11 players, maximum of 3 from every club, and bet behind what you think is going to be the dream team this week. I've gone with a formation of 3-4-3. I've got Butland in goal, back three of Alonso, Otamendi and Martina. We've got Goodmanson, Hazard, Shaqiri and Salah through the midfield, with Aguero, Firmino and Aubameyang up front. Don't know why I said it like that, because I've been calling him Auba, that's why. A-U-B-A, because his name is too long for my box. So it keeps on messing up the... Anyway, basically the team I think has looked good. I think Everton defender is risky. I think double up on Stoke is again risky. Goodmanson's a bit of a chuck out the blue. So I do feel like they could get a clean sheet, but I did mention that there's a chance it could be just the save points we're after. But in general, I think this team is looking good. Captain, of course, being Hazard. Hopefully you can get a good performance on Monday night against West Brom. Next up, we have the defenders. We've got Eric Peters, Carl Norton, Ben Mee, Charlie Daniels, Andrew Robertson and Cuco Martina. And Martina's in the team. I think Everton have got a clean sheet coming, and Martina is playing at a 4.4, so looks a decent price for Everton to start picking up those clean sheets again, allowing Big Sam first join the club, not like their 5-1 against Arsenal. So going from the top, Peters, again, I've spoken about Stoke. I feel like Stoke are going to get a clean sheet here quite easily. You've got Norton, his attacking potential is good. I do think if anyone's going to score, it could be Burnley first, but I do think that could actually be a score draw. So I think Norton is there just for the simple fact of if he doesn't get a clean sheet, I think his attacking returns could be good, and also his upcoming fixtures are looking really good. Swansea have a good run in, and that's why I feel like they are definitely surviving. Me as well, an interesting one. I don't usually do one either side of a fixture, but Ben Mee I do think could get a clean sheet, and like I say, Norton's mainly for the future. May not get a clean sheet this time, and may not even get attacking returns this time. I do think Ben Mee is more than likely going to be heading towards those clean sheet points. Then you got Charlie Daniels, Robertson at 4.7, both each. Again, Charlie Daniels has been a bit out of sorts compared to what we expect of him and Robertson, keeping his first team spot. Fingers crossed he does that. Liverpool face off away against Southampton on Sunday, so I do feel like clean sheet and maybe even a little attacking returns could make Robertson a double point scorer this game week. Next up, we have the Fantasy Tote 5-a-side, where we pick one of the 3 featured fixtures that Fantasy Tote put out there, which this week is Spurs versus Arsenal, Southampton versus Liverpool, and Chelsea versus West Brom. And we just bet on the best 5-a-side. Again, normal rules, maximum of 3 people, and rather weirdly, I've gone for the North London derby because it's the massive game this week. My team is Lloris in goal. I've got Bellerin as my defender, 2 midfielders instead of 2 strikers or defenders in Mkhitaryan and Eriksen, and I've gone with Harry Kane up front. I think because Spurs are at home and their Arsenal's away form is dreadful, means Spurs could probably nick the 3 points more likely than Arsenal. But is a big but. This could be a big scoring game. I think Mkhitaryan suits Arsenal well. So I do feel like could be goals either side. That's why Mkhitaryan's in there as well as Eriksen. But I do think my captain of Eriksen, who is my captain, is going to be a good choice for this week. Moving on from that, we have the midfielders, and we've got Salah, Walcott, Klukas, Shaqiri, Hazard and Gudmundsson. Mohamed Salah, need I say more? He is massively expensive. Scored the most points by far on this game. But he's consistently scoring. And he could pay for a Hazard or a Sanchez that maybe won't score as many points. Salah's scoring consistently, and he's proved it. So I think Salah is still cheap, because next season he's not going to be this cheap. He's going to be quite expensive. Walcott 7.3 for Everton. I think Everton have got a good game week coming up. If they won't get a clean sheet, which there's a potential the way they're defending at the moment, I think they will get some attacking returns, and Theo Walcott seems to be in a good run of form. You also got Sam Klukas, who comes in. I do feel like he's a good player. I do feel like he's a good choice, and maybe a bit iffy having Swansea and Burnley again, but I do feel like he's one of Swansea's better players, and he could be a good choice at just over 5 million. We've also got Shaqiri for Stoke at 6.1. I think he's one of the better players that play for Stoke. I still think they're a bit surprised they even signed him in the first place those years ago. They face off at home to Brighton, and again, I think it could be an easy game also for them. Hazard as well, I've put him as my captain on my fantasy total. He's going to be my captain this week. At home to West Brom. It's a game that could go 1-0 or could go 4-0. I reckon it's going to be more towards the 4-0, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And Hazard to be at the epicentre of that. And lastly, got Gudmundsson, £5 million. He's pretty consistent at scoring 80 points so far this season. He's in my team, has been for a couple of weeks now. I do think he's a little out there, but a really good player to have. Next up, we have our star player and star club. This week we've gone with star player, Hazard, star club, Chelsea. Now that sounds familiar to some people, I'm sure, because it was my star club and star player last time. But Hazard because I feel like he's going to run the show against West Brom, and Chelsea because I feel like they're going to score a couple of goals with a clean sheet, and they play 5 defenders and a goalkeeper. So, it's a pretty no-brainer, albeit they were without Tiamu Bakayoko, but maybe that's a blessing in disguise. Who knows? I do think, though, the 4-1 against Watford was because of the red card. I don't think that would happen otherwise. And Chelsea will bounce back with a good, fiery win. They need it. And lastly, we've got the attackers. Time to speed run it through. We've got Firmino, Ayew, Vardy, Barnes, and Aubameyang. Starting off with Firmino at £9.2 million. Do Liverpool need a new striker? Do Liverpool need an actual striker? There's big claims for it. Firmino's firing, so who knows? Liverpool face off against Southampton. I do feel like it's a game Firmino will get a goal in. Maybe not more, I'm not sensing more, but a goal for Firmino is what I see this game week for him. Then you've got Ayew. The Ayew brothers are reunited, but Jordan Ayew is in a good run of form. He's only £5.4 million, and like I say, Swansea have some good fixtures coming up, so albeit it will be a tough task to score against a Burnley side this week. If anyone's going to do it, he will. Leicester, Vardy. Why have I put Vardy in there ahead of Aguero? Simple reason, I feel like Man City are still frail at the back. Laporte helps them in their passing play, but if they play Laporte and Otamendi, they still need a massive sort of stalwart at the back, almost like when Chelsea had John Terry at his fine best. Now, a bit like Gary Cahill, you need someone just to battle through. I don't think they have that in their team to give them that rigid sort of defensive style. But then again, if they're going to outscore opponents, what do they need it? So that's why I think Vardy with his pace, just like Leicester have in the last couple of seasons, break down Man City. You also got Barnes there at 5.2. Interesting choice, a bit cheap, playing a lot of football under Sean Dyche, and he's a weird one because you don't really see him as a massive Premier League player, Premier League standard, but he gets goals, and I feel like he could get another one this weekend. And lastly, you got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I said it right this time. Arsenal away against Spurs. Haven't put Kane in there for simple reason that everyone will be picking Kane, and there's Kane exit, so I don't want to be picking sides on that. But Aubameyang is definitely a decent choice, and his pace could break down Spurs. And that happens to be that for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of my choices? Now, have I missed anyone out? As always, I want to know your opinions. Let me know all that and everything else in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed. I'll see you all next video. Peace.